So this thing says I'm live, so I guess I'm live. Hello, everyone. It is I, your pal, Ishi the Gray Alien. I don't know. It's been a shitty fucking week. So there's my introduction. This week has sucked ass badly, um, and I would have to say, I guess you can't have every week can't be a winner. I had been producing so much material on the current book, making such incredible progress. And then there was well, here's the thing. My writing laptop does not touch the internet. It does not have any interaction whatsoever. Everything goes back and forth with a thumb drive. And that with good reason. One, I don't want anything running in the background to interrupt what I'm working on. I don't want sorry, I'm burping. You'll have to deal with it. I'm chugging coffee right now. But yeah, I absolutely refuse to connect the machine I write on to the internet. Also, it prevents distraction. But anyway, Microsoft decided it wanted to do an update, but there's no internet connection. So it crashed my computer and there was data loss. And I would say about 2 weeks of writing went up in smoke. And as you can imagine, I had a bit of a meltdown. Um, in fact, the anger was so bad, I was on the verge of slamming my head into a wall. And I was getting that thing where, do you ever get so angry that your eyes begin to hurt and start to blur and go out of focus? Now, yeah, that was bad. That was really fucking bad. Um, and the reaction was so goddamn bad that I got drunk. It was like, okay, there's no one home. I don't want to think. I don't want to deal with any of this. So I do something I haven't done that in years. I haven't done that, Christ, in almost 10 years. Yeah, almost 10 years was the last time I did it, where I wanted to leave reality so badly that I just got blackout drunk and went to bed. Um, but it was sake, so there was no hangover. I love sake for that reason. No fucking hangover. Your mouth may taste a little weird. Your stomach might be a little off. You may taste the faint flavor of rice wine in the back of your mouth for about a day, but no real hangover. You just feel kind of drowsy. But it turns out that the rage was so bad that I fell into an actual post traumatic episode that lasted I don't know until about Thursday. Yeah, that's why if you listen to the writer's room, why I was so quiet and kind of downbeat and not saying much during that episode, because I wasn't all that functional to begin with. I mean, seriously, I was ready to go back to bed. I was so tired, but I wasn't in the greatest of moods either. Um, but anyway, it seems like I've managed. I looks like I've either recovered my draft or at least an unpolished version of the draft by digging through the I guess it's what the quick save backups in Windows. And I had tried that the day that I thought I'd lost everything. And by the way, I still haven't given it a full read through, so I may not actually be as well off as I think. But I know that I've got a lot of it back, which makes me happy. I'm too fucking tired and addled to really think too clearly about it. I just know that whatever is there, I'm not out 2 weeks of work. I might be out work, but not 2 weeks of work. Um, so yeah, even just the reaction of realizing I could recover the data in itself was kind of emotionally a strain because I had been so worked up and angry about it. But anyway, what it turns out was that I had done all the things you were supposed to, and I was going and trying to open those backup files, and Windows was refusing to open them. Thanks, Windows. Fuck Bill Gates, by the way. Why would anyone trust that son of a bitch with a vaccine when he can't make a computer that works, or at least a software platform that works? Yeah, I'm going to trust that shit in my body. Sure. I think South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, the movie, had it right when the military called him in and shot him in the face, and everyone in the audience cheered. That's Bill Gates. Never forget that. And I think that's what should have happened in reality. But anyway, even though Windows kept refusing it, I found that if I just forced the file into Word by dragging and dropping it onto the screen, Windows would tell me it wasn't going to open it, and then it opened it. So it appears I've gotten my file back in some form. Yeah, I know, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Seriously, does anyone remember Saints Row 2, where you had the real slutty girlfriend of, the really aggro gang? I forget what they were called, but they had all the facial tattoos and drove monster trucks. Do you remember what happened to the girlfriend in that game? Where you capture her and you chuck her in the trunk of a car, and then you trick the boyfriend into driving a monster truck over it. I think I wouldn't mind seeing that happen to Gates. Yeah, Gates went from being a piss-ass piece of shit, a corporate pirate, to essentially a Bond villain. So okay, where's our fucking Bond? Because somebody needs to shove him into the volcano or whatever. Yeah, all the classic Bonds, the villains get great deaths. What happened to Scorpio or Scorpion? I don't know. The guy that had the heat ray laser. Yeah, I was using OpenOffice for a while there because I do not like Microsoft. But the only reason I switched back to Microsoft is that is the format that Kindle uses, and that it is the most cooperative with Kindle. So if you need to, prep something for a Kindle file, you have to do it in Word, and it gives you the best results. OpenOffice, not so much. But the moment there is an alternative to Word that translates just as well to Kindle, I'll change, because fuck that shit. Of course he promotes eugenics. He's from a long line of good turn of the century liberals. All the progressives. H.G. Wells, Isaac Asimov, all of them promoted it until it became unpopular. Margaret Sanger, oh yeah, real swell people. Okay, so let's talk some news items since we're talking about Billy Boy. Supposedly, there's been outbreaks of monkeypox. Let's talk about the reality of monkeypox, okay? First off, what they're not telling anyone is how it's being spread. It's being spread because they're apparently, I don't know if it was a handful of gay men or one or two, but it's being spread through anal sex, which is the number one way monkeypox spreads. And that's why all of them have been gay men who have gotten it. So just saying. So that's the first thing. And while it is airborne, monkeypox is indeed an airborne disease. It's airborne in the sense of if you sneeze. It's not like ricin where it'll just carry on the wind and kill somebody 5 miles away. It's not like that at all. It's a fairly heavy. I want to make sure. I think it's bacteria, but let's make sure if it really is a true virus. No, I don't want. Yeah, I pull it up, and what I get is a bunch of news article bullshit. Infectious disease. Oh, come on. I can't believe that it does not appear that, yeah, it does not appear to say if it's a bacterial or viral. Okay, it says it's a virus. Okay, well, it's a fairly heavy virus. So it's not going to carry on the air very long. It hits the ground. Um, the other thing is, no, this is not good, but it has a kill rate of roughly 10%, which is far better than smallpox, which is around 65%. But again, it's not easy to transmit. It's not the nightmare that they keep claiming it is. The other thing is that just like smallpox, when a person is infectious and can spread the disease, you can tell by looking at them. I mean, you can actually tell by looking at them. I mean, if they, let's just say if they look like a, oh, how would yeah, if they look like Jeff Goldblum from The Fly, yeah, you know they're infectious, and they're pretty much a walking flashing sign that says "Stay away from me." So there you go. It's bullshit. No matter what anyone hypes it up, they try to do lockdowns. Don't obey it. Ignore that shit. If you want to get vaccinated for smallpox, because that's the same um, vaccine, go ahead. I don't really trust the medical establishment right now, so I'm a bit leery of anything they claim. Another one that I'm just going to throw out there, and this may amount to nothing, is that supposedly Russia is sitting on the largest stockpile of weaponized smallpox. And there was recently a big order of smallpox vaccine. Think about it. So, yeah, I don't know if monkeypox is really it. But yeah, don't let the news scare the shit out of you. And if you talk to any one of your relatives or friends that starts freaking out, just tell them the reality of the situation. But yeah, you can get monkeypox from sneezes and saliva or whatever. But to be honest with you, it's usually butt sex. There's no nice way of putting it. It usually is butt sex. And that's one of the reasons it's so virulent in Africa, is because when you don't have birth control around, but you don't want to have sex with the woman, apparently the back door is often used. That's just a reality. Now, if somebody says, no, that's racist, you don't know what you're talking about, that's what I read. Maybe I'm a moron. I don't. Correct me, and I would be happy to be corrected. But then again, my knowledge of how it's spread so much in Africa was from a National Geographic article in the early aughts. So who knows? Maybe the science has changed. Just say no to eating ass. I don't know why anyone would want to do that anyway, Redneck. That that really makes my stomach turn. I don't get it, don't understand it, but apparently that's a thing too. I don't know, anything that has to do with fecal, I don't want anything to do with. Okay. Them blisters from skin. Okay. Okay, anyway. That's just, I wanted to get that out there, that the big order in smallpox vaccine may not have had anything to do with the monkeypox outbreak. It may actually have to do with more along the lines that our government is either legitimately scared of Russia's smallpox stockpile, or is going to play up the smallpox stockpile. One of the two. But Ass sex is popular. Yeah, it is actually. Um, yes, Mark Mosray. Anything fecal? No, no, thank you. Even the Mr. Hanky episodes of South Park, although hilarious, at times could get a bit much. Like when he jumped in the mouth of oh, was it Kyle? It jumped in Kyle's mouth, or was it Ike's? I forget. So anyway, oh, that's interesting, Eloise. Africa has food contamination problems. Human blood spills from butcher. Aye. I guess they don't have those chainmail gloves here eh, that they have that we have here, like the ones we see in the supermarket. I'll be honest though, I would have never gotten that job. That job, even watching the butcher at the supermarket with the chainmail glove running that machine makes me nervous. um, so there's that. Um, oh God, I so hope that Conan soon. Well, wait, Conan is public domain, I believe. So what do you mean lose the rights to Conan? Explain? Because a lot of the Conan stories after a certain or before a certain date are all public domain. Um, Star, you're driving your baby to sleep. It's amazing that works, isn't it? Um, so 20 viewers during the middle of the day. Oh, probably they are working and they're just glued to their computer in their cubicle or whatever they do, listening. Yeah, that's where a lot of people do their listening. But let's change the subject, unless you guys don't really give a shit. There was recently another UFO hearing in the House of Representatives to follow up on supposedly all the money that the Navy, Naval Intelligence, and Pentagon has been spending on UFOs. Now, I realize for most people, watching the entire hearing on C-SPAN was probably like paint drying. But being that I have a vast knowledge of the subject, I found it fascinating. And I did find it interesting. Most people didn't talk much about it in the news. But of course, we've got all hell breaking loose, so maybe that's it. Um, so the things that came up that I found really interesting is supposedly this was the Naval Intelligence and Pentagon or DoD, I forget who it was, reporting to the House what they've uncovered, what they've decided, and what they're going to tell, since that year of investigating. Needless to say, they didn't really say much of anything. Now, there was one congressman, yeah, who has been lambasted by the press, but he's right. Well, he was a conservative, so of course he was lambasted. He got up and he actually started questioning them about very popular cases, specifically the numerous cases of red orbs flying over nuclear installations and all the systems shutting down. Now, these are well recorded, and some of them are incredibly famous, including Rendlesham. And what was interesting was their inability to answer that or to deal with that. They kept going on. The naval intelligence guys kept saying, well, we have no knowledge of that. We've never heard of that. Never fucking heard of this? It's on fucking TV every other week. There's been so many different, bullshit History Channel documentaries on the subject. There's been just about every modern book on UFOs has at least something about that. And Rendlesham Forest is almost at the level of Roswell famous now. And they were claiming they had never, ever, ever heard of such a thing. Another interesting thing that they had claimed was that they have determined that a great deal of these sightings were in fact commercial drones, which is probably true. I don't doubt that in the least, that a lot of what we're seeing are drones. But then much later in the conversation, so they thought that they had moved on. Much later in the conversation, another congressman asked, "So, have you ever actually recovered any crashed uh, any of these vehicles that you've seen? Have you recovered any crashes? Have you ever had midair collisions?" And no, no, there's never been a crash. There's been no crashes. And then he says, even of the commercial drones. And you can see the guy just blue screen, realizing what a stupid statement he just made. So, really, what we got out of the whole thing was that they really weren't expecting certain members of Congress to have actually looked into this subject. It was very obvious they thought they were going to get a bunch of stuffy old guys who, boomers mainly, that just never heard it, are going off the mentality of what they were told in the 60s and 70s of only crazy people see this stuff. But some of the younger congressmen had done their homework and they did not know how to respond to it. It was hilarious. They did say later that they would do a was a confidential private meeting with Congress for stuff that they couldn't tell the public, which, okay, I buy. And one of the excuses they gave, I do trust. And one of them being that they said, well, if we talk any more about these subjects, it'll reveal sensitive tracking data and ways that we can track enemy aircraft that we don't want the enemy to know about. Okay, I buy it. Now, there's a very famous video, and there's more and more of them that keep coming out, of soldiers or sailors on ships at night spotting these triangular craft buzzing the ship. And I mean, they're very sharp. It's a very clear image. And it's happened more than once on opposite sides of the world on other ships. And it's always through night vision because, well, even if you can see it with the human eye, it doesn't look like much otherwise. Yeah, the closed door session. Thank you, BGC. Now, the footage of the triangles that sailors had been sharing were not official leaks. They were put up on their own. This was not something that the DoD or Naval Intelligence sanctioned or even purposely leaked. And what was interesting was they said, we have finally done enough research and we can reasonably declare they're commercial drones. And well, how do you know? I mean, it's perfectly triangular. Well, you see, when you film something through night vision goggles and then on a GoPro, it refracts the light in a certain way that gives that triangular appearance. It was like, just tell me it's swamp gas, dude. It's like, okay, so night vision on a GoPro causes this image. I don't buy it. I mean, these things were looking like tumbling D4s for those of you familiar with role-playing games. I mean, they actually looked like that shape. It was a four-sided pyramid. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Okay, Yang. It's not public domain in the US, but it is in Europe. The company that owns the copyrights wants to put out their own comics. Okay, is it just the comics or is it also the novels? Because there is a lot of stuff that is public domain in the US as well, including the original Red Sonja story. I know that Hollywood and Marvel don't like that, but it is the reality. So, yeah, that's what I've got to share. I saw one of those triangular drones floating over my neighborhood last year. It was in broad daylight. Really, what it looked like. As I've told you guys, I did actually see a UFO. I think I was 13, 14-year-old in the human suit. And for me, as a kid, it was weird because at that age, I was being fucked with so much, and there was a lot of bad shit in my family. I don't want to get into that right now. So it was very important to me as a child to maintain a very solid grip on what was real and what wasn't, what was possible in reality and what wasn't. So, I'm coming home from my first year at Boy Scout camps. Shit, I forget. What's the youngest you can be when you're a Boy Scout? But anyway, we're driving in the bus down the mountain, and in California, there's this big polluted lake called Lake Paris, and you could view the lake out the window of the bus, looking down on it. And there it was, big, bright, shiny hubcap looking craft, chromed out, looked like your standard run of the mill UFO, straight out of Invasion of the Flying Saucers, just cruising along right over the lake. And it was like reality had just completely imploded for me. Um, if I had been older, I probably just would have been thoroughly fascinated by the sight. But at that point in my life, things were so messed up. It suddenly threw me into a state of mind where it was like, I have to reassess all of reality now, which was not pleasant. But yeah, it was quite an interesting sight. And the kid on the bus next to me saw it as well. I was surprised no one else did, but they were Boy Scout camp. We're throwing stuff at each other. They're playing around. They're all talking. No one's really paying attention what's going on outside the window. But yeah, the kid next to me, and I'm like, I'd even said that's not a plane. He says, yeah, it's look the shape, and it was very strange, very very strange. Hey Satan, God, let's confuse the mortals, okay? Okay, God, I'll get out my aerial D4. I'll get my aerial D4s out. Yeah, I'm feeling better. I'd love to sit down and get right back to writing, but honestly, I'm so emotionally exhausted and my head's so idle. I think I'm going to need to rest another day or two just to recover from the episode because it went on for days. Um, Although the definition of no one cares about the stories that are in public domain otherwise, they'll probably would have kept the trademark. Oh, okay. Ice cream, Barry. Well, the thing about Gray's and strawberry ice cream, right? Tiger Cub. Official entry level is Bobcat for Boy Scouts. Yeah, what comes? Yeah, I don't know. I made it to Life Scout. I probably would have made it to Eagle Scout, but by that time I was a sophomore in high school and was far more interested in punk and industrial music and just hanging out with my friends. I saw it at an angle. Oh, Damien, about the triangles. Saw it at an angle, metal bottom, plastic top. Looked like a triangle welded into one big one. I stopped looking to keep my eye on traffic and it zipped out of view. So wait, if it had a plastic top and it's plastic, or did it just look plastic? I got my Eagle, but it was Obama who signed my card. Yeah, it kind of kills it, doesn't it? Mark Mosere says, Ishi, what's your take on the sky going red at night in China? Haven't heard about that one. Let me look at that real quickly. Oh wow, that's pretty impressive. I mean, just from this one photo I'm looking at, let me share screen. Yeah, if anyone's expecting a focused or well planned out show, you're not going to get it. This is just going to be me rambling after a really shitty week. Wow. Well, at first glance, it looks like China's pollution problem, but well, in this one here, there seems to be a light source at the bottom refracting off the clouds. And I mean, clearly this is light refraction happening. When, Jesus, skies turn eerie red in China. MCU fans link it to strange phenomena to Scarlet Witch. I think people need to get over it. Of course, you know, whenever a crisis happens in the DCU, the sky turns red as well. Okay, let's see. Well, again, I'm looking at the various photos, and what I see is it seems to be more of a light refracting off the ground. But I could be wrong. I mean, I'll do some research into it. Of course, the other thing is who the fuck knows what China's doing to its population? They obviously have no problem killing them off or using them as lab rats. So who knows? One thing I will also mention, though, is in Southern California, when the pollution was really bad back then with the smog, the city lights would refract off of at night, the city lights would refract off the overcast or all the crap in the sky. Not clouds, just the pollution in the sky. And the whole sky would turn like this rust color. Now, it wasn't as vibrant as what we're seeing here. But, okay, here's something claiming to know the truth. Oh, they're claiming it was a fishing boat. Okay, sure, right. Well, that's all very interesting. But yeah, a fishing boat did all that. Okay. Let's see. Red Sky at Night, oh no. Well, you know, it's a good Fix song, right? The Fix Red Skies at Night. Of course, that was about nuclear war. How the hell do fishing boats change the color of the sky? That's a very good question. Is there any reference to it, Strawberry Ice Cream, in the book Communion? That's a book still in my DRY WR list. Didn't read, but want to. It's a real easy read, and it's before Strieber went completely nuts, so it's very well written. I mean, the fact is, the guy is a very talented writer, and it's a shame that it's a shame his insanity made him rich, because really, that first book, it showed that he hadn't lost his mind yet, and that he was really trying to come to terms with something he couldn't quite figure out. And he himself even said in the book that he wondered if it was his subconscious trying to square the how would I put this? He was a devout. He is no. What is he dead now? I don't remember. He was a devout Catholic, very, very Catholic, but he was also very, very scientifically minded and well read. And there were quite a few times in it where he had said, "Is this just my mind trying to reconcile those two sides into something that I can perceive, or reconcile essentially?" Because he kept giving the visits almost a religious significance. And I can say for my own part that you don't know, I've had those experiences too. I mean, maybe I should go back to the human icon. Those encounters or those experiences do have a a lot of things in common with a religious experience. I mean, there's that God node in the brain that fires off when people have religious experiences, and a lot of what I experienced when I had mine, it did have that feeling. It had the tenor of a religious experience. So he was trying to reconcile, is that what's really going on in my head? It goes deeper than that. I honestly believe that he was raped as well and couldn't come to terms with it. You'd need to read the book to understand why I say that. But yeah, it's a good read. It is a very good read, and it's not like his other stuff. As he started getting crazier and crazier and crazier, and it's kind of sad in that regard. It's a little bit like reading, was it Valis by Philip K. Dick, where it's a man who clearly knows he's losing his mind, trying to make sense of the weird religious experiences he's having. Different region of China are being set on fire because well, that sounds more realistic. I buy that entirely, because that does look like a sky refracting the light of a fire. When the San Diego fires came through in, was it 2001? The sky turned that color at night, and we had ash falling from the sky. My parents' house was on the neighborhood block that got used as the firewall or a fire block it's where they actually set up all the trucks, and that was as far as the burn was allowed to go. So my parents lost their house. But so why are they being told not to farm when they're all worried about starvation there right now? I thought, is China trying to trim their population again? I thought it could be sand related. I remember several times in Beijing the sky would turn orange red from sandstorms coming out of the desert. Is that when the Yangtze would cough up all the silt and then the wind would pick it up? Valis is fun, though. Have you read Communion? It's, I wouldn't call it fun, but I mean, it's a very interesting read. I think actually he did read Thomas Aquinas. I mean, the guy, that's the tragedy of it. The guy really was brilliant, and extremely well read, but yeah, something was broken in his brain. And my theory, honestly, is that he got raped, and that was how his brain tried to reprogram it or just deal with the fact that it had happened. Let's see. BGC says China's doing it for population. WEF depopulation agenda. Who knows? Well, I don't think it's going to go the way they think it will with the WEF or China. In fact, I think they may have realized they have awoken a sleeping giant. And well, sometimes when you piss off white people, they don't stop being pissed when they should be. Or put another way, white people are nice until it's time not to be nice, and then it gets ugly. Oh, you taking off, Fizz? Oh, I was going to answer a question of yours. I forget what it was. Well, we'll talk next time. All right, so anybody have other questions for me? Again, we need at least 1,000 Batmen. Well, we've got one Tony Stark, apparently. Chinese gov also had their residents locked in their own homes, screaming. Yeah, I saw that. That was incredibly disturbing. The interesting thing is if they tried that here, I live in Arizona, you would have instant civil war. Maybe that's the difference with an armed population. But I swear to God, if they tried it here, it would be instant civil war. And those drones that are flying overhead telling people to withhold their desire for freedom. A lot of people have shotguns just made for shooting birds down, and I don't think those drones would be up very long. Definitely population control to delay the inevitable collapse. Well, I'm not going to get into a huge argument about population, but there's a few things. Sarah Hoyt, author Sarah Hoyt, I think last week, put up a really good argument on population, and nobody really knows what the fuck the world population is. Did you know that? And for something I was researching with Boobs of Steel, believe it or not, I was looking into the population of Gen X, millennials, and baby boomers. And here's the thing. All of today's population estimates are based on two things. Self-reporting, and as we know, no one would ever lie to the UN to get more money, right? No third world country would ever inflate their population to get more money and aid from the UN, right? That's the first way we determine it, is countries self-reporting their population, and then estimates that were formed or formulated in the 60s during the baby boom. And ever since then, and I do mean ever since then, all population calculations have been based on the notion that the baby boom would never end. Now, never mind the fact that Gen X is considerably smaller. Let's see if I can't pull up the stat. Gen X in this country was way smaller than the baby boom, but yet they kept going as if, when they would report population, they would just estimate as if the baby boom had never ended. Let's see. Because, yeah, I took notes on this. I should have them right at hand. Fuck. I'll find it. But yeah, and what was interesting is I was looking at all these different reports of the size, the populations of the different generations. None of them could really agree. And when I was digging into, well, wait, why did none of these agree? This doesn't make any goddamn sense. And it came down to none of them agreed because they were all based on estimates. And no one really had estimates that agreed. Damn. Where the hell did I put it? Well, anyway, just the point is, and I wish I could grab the stats and just share them outright, but when I was looking, for instance, the Pew Research Center, they had the stats of what they said the generation populations were. And I look closer and it says, oh, these are estimated or projected, which is ridiculous. Projected. And then you go look at the actual number of recorded births. They're nothing alike. In fact, when it comes to reported births, they had underestimated the number of births and actually skewed backwards for the baby boom. They had overestimated millennials, and then they'd overestimated Gen X as well. So yeah, none of this shit is really trustworthy to begin with. And odds are our concept of how many people are actually in the world is way off. Way off. And nobody ever really questions this. It's just been this ongoing notion of overpopulation for a very, very long time. Now I'm going to ask you a question. If the population is out of control, okay, and there were more, if there were all these baby boomers, right, that went to school in the United States in their youth, and then Gen X, which is significantly a smaller population, went to those schools as well, why were they overpopulated because they'd filled them with illegal aliens. The fact was and remains the population in this country would be going backwards. It would be shrinking if not for all the fucking illegal immigration going on in this country. And most of those projections that are grandparents or are great grandparents for some of you had made plans for, okay, this is what we'll need to do to keep our way of life continuing into the future. In fact, would have been just fucking fine if we hadn't imported tons and tons of illegals that just are sucking off the teat of the government. Okay. All right, let's see what you guys think. Most futurists don't think population is a problem. It is said you could fit the entire population of Spain in a yeah, exactly. And it's been a lie that's been played up by various interest groups, including the Club of Rome, who later became the WEF, by the way. And the thing is every prediction, and I do mean every fucking prediction the WEF has made was wrong. Every single one. They had said we would have had a famine in the 90s and that the globe would be starving. It didn't happen. You see what I mean? It's bullshit. It's really bugging me that I can't find those stats. But, oh well. Yeah, shit, where did I put it? But Sarah Hoyt has a great article on her blog specifically about really we should be more concerned about not enough people, not too many, especially not enough first worlders with good educations and parents who actually raise them. The third world's just going to keep producing people, okay? But a lot of them don't live very long. Overpopulation thing, usually people who say this live in cities. If they just go out in the country, I'd go further than that. I'd say that a lot of the progressives, if not all of them, are largely anti-human. They have gone from being liberals or classical liberals, which had a certain point of view, to be completely consumed by leftism, which is anti-human. They just hate humanity. And they hate all the things that make life worth living. Okay, Aloise. Xi Jinping ordered the burning of land because people are fleeing to urban areas to do the due to the coup restrictions. I meant population control as I see, as to actually control their population. Hi, Tweldy. Good seeing you. How am I doing? Well, a little better. As I had said at the beginning of the podcast or the stream, I had a shitty week. I thought there was a crash on Windows. Actually, it was Windows did something stupid and crashed itself, and that it looked like I had lost 2 weeks of work. And just today, it seems I've finally recovered at least a rough draft of what I'd lost. And an unpolished draft of what I lost is a lot better than losing it all. And I was so angry at what had happened, seeing 2 weeks go up in smoke. I got blackout drunk and slept through the rage because, I mean, my eyes were blurring and feeling painful due to how angry I was. And that's some impressive anger, okay? Let's see. And then it turned out it wasn't just rage. That rage set off a post-traumatic stress episode. I'm sorry, I'm typing something up. But yeah, it set off a post-traumatic stress episode, and that lasted until Wednesday, Thursday, thereabouts. And honestly, I'd love to sit down and just tear into what I'm writing because it's actually very interesting and I'm really enjoying it. But I'm too exhausted. I mean, emotionally and physically, I am just wiped out. So I thought, hell, fuck it. I'll just go on the air and chat for a while. All right, here we go. I found my notes. All right. Now, if you were to look at the claims of how big the populations are, right? They usually claim that the total number of boomers born was 72 million. Okay. And when you go to Pew Research, that's the estimate they'll give you. But if you dig through and actually find the recorded births, it's not 72 million. It's 76 million. So it was off by 4 million, right? Now, if you look at Gen X, they'll claim that we range somewhere in the of 64 million people. But in reality, actual births, 55 million. Where are all these invisible people coming from? And millennials, millennials are 62 million, not 72 million like they keep claiming. Why would they inflate those numbers as projected? I mean, it's not like there are going to be any more Gen Xers born. Same with boomers. There aren't going to be any more born. So, and yeah, especially, yeah, even millennials. That's it. The birth, that generation of births is done. So why project them to continue to grow? It's stupid. And it's all political, essentially. I believe that it's strictly due to money. And again, it's also not like states wouldn't try to inflate their numbers to get benefits, money, and voting delegates. Did you know? Okay, Rutnick says, did you know someone who was Mexican American who said they are more Mexican in America than in Mexico? I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry. University-wise, they keep getting larger because of the international students. This has been a problem since I was teaching in 2000. If they would stop coming to the university system, it crashes down. Well, frankly, I think the university system does need to crash. I think all government money needs to be pulled, and they got to pull their own fucking weight because they're not educating. Yeah, George, this is strictly the United States. I couldn't tell you for Europe. And I know that the situation in Europe is grossly different because, let's face it, World War II really hurt the Brits. They had more to recover from than we did. So I'm sure that affected birth rates by a lot. All right, let's see. You're absolutely right. You should see the creepy campaigns in the CCP to convince people to marry. Yeah, they're in big trouble. And their population may fall off drastically because they don't have enough women. What's more is that because it was the in thing through the entire aughts, I'm not making this up. For those of you who are too young to remember, this really happened during the aughts. In LA and San Francisco, it was the cool thing to do was to adopt a little girl from China because you were saving her from having to be put down because, they don't want female children. And so China was actually letting the females get born so that they could then sell them to rich Americans. All right. Retnick, I don't know what the guy meant when he said it, but you then mentioned the baby boom being an exploitation and the fact that Mexican population increased in America in their hire during it did. And it just kept going up. What's interesting too is if you look at the birth rates, the year Gen X starts, okay, which is 1965, birth rates just shoot straight down and plummet. And they stay down until about 1980, thereabouts. And most people put the millennials starting around 80 to 85, depending. There's no hard science on this. And the result was mainly because so many of these people were now single moms, or were getting boomers were getting into second and third marriages. So that's why there was suddenly a huge shoot up in the birth rates. That's really grim, JC. Jesus. Zack Snyder's daughter who killed herself was an adopted Chinese girl. Well, I wonder how shitty he was of a parent. I don't really have a lot of faith in people from Hollywood. Also, your wife is a trooper. Anything specific you wanted to mention on that? Such as the fact that it was she who pulled my ass through this latest episode of post-traumatic stress. I mean, it wasn't easy on her. But yeah, she kept me sane, I'll say that much. Okay. It's never a good idea to control a population of people. Interfering with nature always backfires. Yeah, it tends to. Yeah. Military personnel are being housed in bases that are virtually walled mini cities. Where? I mean, that's kind of the nature of a military base in general, is that a military base needs to remain self-sufficient in a time of crisis. The idea is, let's say your nation's invaded, or like I lived in Miramar in San Diego. Let's say just by chance the Chinese wash up on the beach, and all the utilities and everything keeping the city running stops. The base at Miramar needs to continue functioning. They need laundry, they need food, they need, well, actually, believe it or not, they actually do need barbers. There's a purpose for that. They need all of that to remain functional so they can fight the war. On a completely off-topic note, I did find some stuff that you guys were asking about. So I'm going to go pull that up, and you give me things to talk about before I call it an afternoon. But I am glad that I went online and just said hello to you guys, because I have been absent for quite some time. Okay. Found these. And I got one more image to share, which has absolutely no significance, but fuck it. Has nothing to do with anything. All right. I know, dead air is just great, isn't it? So you guys were asking a while back about some of the early artwork that Kat and I did together, where I'd photograph her. Well, here's one. You guys had, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's my first name there. This was done in 2010 based on a photograph. Well, actually, it's a photograph painted over. It's pretty obvious. And yes, her tatas were still growing back then, as you will see by the next image, which was also based on another photo. So you can see the top there. She outgrew it pretty quickly. Didn't fit like that when she first got it. So, yeah, again, you've been asking. I can't see the date on that one. But anyway, I think that actually says 2008, but that picture was taken before the other, or this picture was taken after the one I did in 2010. And then one other just for the hell of it. Isn't Kelly Riley fucking hot? Seriously, just sometimes you guys got to say, God damn, Kelly Riley is fucking hot. All right, let's see what everyone says. How long you been here, Nighthawk? Have you actually seen the photos of her more recently? Just asking. If you think that's impressive, you need to see her now. Owen, well, I'm glad you're feeling better. On a different note, I haven't posted much art lately due to work, but I do plan to post. Cool, actually, yeah, I will keep a lookout. Armed and well stocked. Exactly. Kind of nice. Reminds me of the heavy metal magazine. And the thing was, I had done those back when I was trying to get cover work with different companies, including heavy metal. None of them went for it. Wasn't Kelly Riley in True Detective season 2? She was the only reason to watch, dude. And my God, she was attractive in that. Holy crap. The only reason to watch it. That second season was awful. Hot, but dynamite. Yeah, how many people are going to go understand get that one, dude? So I guess in other random shit I could talk about, I know. You think that you really? Oh, I'm impressed. Japanese manga would love your art. Damn. I am putting up the third part of Pissant Apocalypse on my Instagram. Also been posting it on Discord. Okay, you guys. JC, repost where people can buy them because his Pissant Apocalypse books are great. The art's great. The story is a hell of a lot of fun. It's funny and twisted as all hell. So yeah, put up the link so people can buy them. I have been for a while. Still impressed. You have beautiful. I count myself damn lucky. The thing is, she's approaching 40 and does not even look it. That I don't know how the hell I got so damn lucky. But yeah, she's approaching 40 and doesn't even fucking look it. And those boobs, seriously, just saying, those boobs have not sagged. Now she takes good care of them and does all those exercises, but my God, have not sagged. Do I have a Discord? If you're talking to me, George, the Writer's Room does have, or WordCraft has a Discord. I didn't post it in this stream just because I just went online real quickly. But most of our streams have the link in the description. Speaking of heavy metal, who's your favorite artist? Oh, that's a hard call. I mean, I suppose, okay, really, if you're going to say artists who have been published in heavy metal, it'd have to be Inke Belial. Inke Belial? Let's see. I believe he's Ukrainian, actually, so his name, I may not be doing it justice here, but let's see. He did the Nikpol. I'm brutal. I am butchering this shit right now. But he did a series called Monster, or originally it was called The Dormant Beast, that is just incredible. Amazing, amazing piece. But then his art is also just stunning. Let's see if I can find a good image. Well, okay, this isn't too impressive, but here's an image of his. Okay. So yeah, this is his art, and just in general, everything he does is just gorgeous. The level of detail, the atmosphere, it's a mix of graphite pencils and then paint, some watercolor. I mean, it's multimedia essentially, and he would by far have to be my favorite. Of course, I think the famous one is Mobius, and we all owe a debt to Mobius. Yeah, it's Nicopol trilogy. That's what he did. Although, again, I like his monster series better. And here is the cover art to it. And this is the original. Okay. So what you're saying, Owen writes, so what you're saying is her Mega Smashers are in top form. Yeah, actually they are. I mean, I count myself a very, very lucky man. I mean, she gets up every morning and does at least an hour on the elliptical, and then she does her push-ups and sit-ups, and it's paid off, man. It has totally paid off. I would be as diligent. I do exercise, but unfortunately, when I have these episodes, I'm down for almost a week. I'm unfunctional. I just it's hard to stay awake. It's hard to stand up. I'm so tired. It's awful. I mean, you guys, we did the show about post-traumatic stress. Yeah, that's how bad it is. So I'm not as diligent as she is, but I do eat well as also, which is very helpful. Well, she's not 40 yet. She's approaching 40. And it's not a polite to say a woman's age, so I won't, but she's approaching 40. And frankly, she looks better than a lot of 20-year-olds right now. That's sad to say. I really wish that wasn't true, but that is sad to say. Oh, Pablo, I can't. Serperini, who does Druna? Yeah, oh my God. If you got a booty fetish, he's your man, but he draws hot women in general. Yeah, Monster is very interesting. And just as a curious aside, the series was done, I think, in the late 90s and then the early aughts. And it is kind of a cyberpunk biblical apocalypse type thing. The Antichrist looks strikingly like Klaus Schwab and runs an organization strikingly like the WEF. And he's trying to depopulate the world and erase all religion and create a new one around worship of the state is the villain. So very interesting. Maybe he knew something the rest of us weren't noticing. Oh, you missed a lot, dude. I can't review it. I think you're gonna have to. Well, actually, I'm gonna erase the stream once I go down. But I talked about everything. I talked about the House, the recent House hearings on UFOs and how much they botched it. Talked about my post-traumatic stress episode that lasts the last couple days and how much it sucked. Talked about Bill Gates being a complete shitwad. Talked about Cat's boobs as always. That's a must. I tried watching Utopia, but the American. No, I have not seen the British one. I tried watching the American one, and it was retarded. Their portrayal of comics fans was so out of touch with reality. It was insulting. What's the name of the book? Monster. Let me go back to it. I think that's what you're asking, right? That's it. Didn't Inky Bilal die of COVID earlier? I didn't know. I have no idea. Okay, I'm kind of wearing down, and I'm not. I'm giving you more and more long pauses here, and I guess, as I said, dead air is never good for audio or radio. So I think I'll call it quits unless any of you have any last minute comments. Um, I'm waiting. I'll give it a minute or two, and then I think I'm going to get lunch or something. Yeah, yeah, okay. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. I will I will go get lunch. Good talking to you all. Hopefully I'll be back on the writing kick after 2 excellent weeks. I just didn't need this week. So, oh, let's see what Tualdi says. I hope you get better. I need I need boobs of steel. You're going to get one hell of a book, my friend. It's much longer than I thought. And, sometimes you just got to follow where it takes you. And that's where it's taking me. Well, welcome, Alien. I'm sorry you missed the most important part of the show. Maybe I'll do another show where I talk about it again. Yeah, I'm sure you're here about the Senate, or not Senate, the House hearings on UFOs. But that was at the beginning of the show. Anyway, I will talk to you all later. You have a good Friday. It's Friday, right? I've lost days because of the flashbacks.